everybody. Welcome to another episode of our podcast where we ask the question, hey, remember the Aughts?
Yes.
I'm Courtney.
And I'm Thomas.
And we talk about everything from the 2000s, oh my god, do you remember when they made the weird colored ketchup for the Scooby-Doo live action movies?
Oh god, I remember colored ketchup was like a thing that like kids cared about and be like, oh my god, there's gonna be green ketchup and then purple ketchup. And I thought it was the coolest thing until I got strep throat and tried to eat French fries with the colored ketchup, and I threw up, and I never wanted colored ketchup again.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, at the time it was like, ooh, teal ketchup. And then I think about it now and I'm like, oh, that sounds so gross.
It is gross, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't like ketchup.
Me neither. It
was a thing I think every kid liked because it was sweet.
And it was like, here you go, here's the thing. But I bet if I'm going to experiment when I have a child one day, this will be my experiment in my testament to science, is like, if I just start out my child liking honey mustard sauce, will they just not care about ketchup?
I don't know, because I think ketchup is the only time ketchup I find acceptable is with French fries. And even then, it's like hot sauce is equally as good, or sometimes you want the hot sauce in the ketchup. But like even I think
it's hard to get children to eat hot sauce though.
Yeah, that's fair. But like even burgers, I don't want ketchup on it. It really upsets me. Yeah. Ketchup, and the most egregious act of ketchup usage is ketchup on eggs.
Okay. That's actually the one time I'll allow it.
I know that, and I know because that's actually
only for a cuck sandwich.
People have this. I know it's a big debate because I know a lot of people who have ketchup on their eggs.
Only for cucks.
And I understand it, but for me personally, it's too much. It's too much, man.
Fair. I will only get it on a sandwich from Cucks, which for people who don't know is a local deli in Mineola. They have the best iced teas, and you should order from there. Support local businesses. Go to Cucks. But I like the ketchup on the egg sandwiches. But that's about it.
They do make a good sandwich there. I have a weird taste in egg sandwiches though, and I got it from a deli one time. Normally, back in Mineola, people would not like the egg sandwich I'd get, and it would be annoying. But then I went to the deli here, and I ordered it, and the guy said, that sounds pretty dope. I'm going to make one for myself. And I said, I'm glad I could provide. And it is...
What do you get on your egg sandwich?
2 eggs scrambled with roasted red pepper and fresh mozzarella.
Oh, see, I like roasted red pepper and fresh mozzarella with like grilled chicken or like fried chicken from a deli. I don't think I'd want that in my egg sandwich though.
I get that, but like I think because like the thing is, if you're accustomed to having eggs with ketchup, it's a very particular combination and a very particular taste. I never liked ketchup and eggs, so for me, eggs are just the protein that serves to the sandwich. So eggs with roasted red pepper and mozzarella is like a cheaper version of getting it with a chicken cutlet.
It's also kind of like the red pepper does sort of like replace the bright red citrusy acidic element of that like would come from a tomato.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know we're from New York when we have long discussions about egg sandwiches.
I didn't realize how much of a New York thing the egg sandwich was until like you could get egg sandwiches elsewhere, but just how much like to get it as available as we get it here.
Yeah.
Like it's such a common thing in a deli or a street vendor or anywhere, like just bacon, egg, and cheese.
Yeah, there's one guy who stays parked outside of Columbia. And I don't go there all the time, but it just soothes my soul to know that he's there in case I need him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize it either until I went to Chicago, and then I was just like, where's all the bacon, egg, and cheese? Where did it go?
Yeah. Well, even in Albany, like, delis were not nearly as much of a thing in Albany as
Right.
they were downstate.
So we have been carrying on this idea of just like personal experiences during the 2000s, things that were more nostalgic based than
Yes.
historical or pop cultural based. And this one is a little bit more historical and pop cultural, but we're looking at it from a personal lens.
And honestly, it's something that we've touched this topic so many
All the
times,
time.
especially in
Yeah.
the last 2 episodes. Like, specifically when we talk about music and music culture of the aughts. We've, like, touched on it, we talked about it, but now we're doing an episode on it. Ladies and gentlemen, and non-gender specific identifying people. I think that was fair. Was that fair?
Yes.
I'm leaving it all in. We are now in the MySpace episode.
When you think about social networking, you probably think of Facebook or Twitter, but remember when MySpace was really all that was out there?
It really was. It's called myspace.com. It's a place on the internet where teens can socialize with other teens and meet new people.
MySpace. When MySpace is the only thing that you ever show. They fell in love on MySpace.
MySpace back. MySpace back.
New comments and new picture comments. Ever since I got on MySpace, I have no time for sleep and no time for homework. But I feel cooler now.
Sort of shake it up.
Da 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 da.
MySpace
Here we
is
are.
back, baby.
Should bring it back.
You know what's funny is that, and we're gonna post about it and talk about it here. There's a fan website called Space Hey, which which recreates old MySpace, and we both, Courtney and I, made a profile, and I have already so many friends.
Really?
Yes. And I am putting my page out there for everyone to add me. It's Tommy MySpace with a picture of
Oh my
me in high
God.
school. 'Cause
What makes me so happy is the first thing that comes up for Space Hey is Space Hey layouts, which
Yeah.
just immediately hit me in the nostalgia feels.
Oh my God, you're gonna love my page when you see it. It's very MySpace. But the irony is, the funniest fucking thing is, this is taking off. And I
Oh my
already...
God. Whoa. This whole user page. Sorry.
It's all good. And like the homepage, it looks like MySpace in 2003. But you know what
Yes.
the fucking irony is?
What?
MySpace is still up. Like, we could literally just go back to MySpace.
No, now we got Space Hey.
Yeah, because if you actually log on to MySpace, like, I'm pretty sure my login is still there. Which, fun fact, you can't just log back onto your MySpace. You have to reach out to MySpace and give them your email. And they have to dig through their archives and be like, oh, you can log in now. But if you go to MySpace now, like I'm logging into MySpace right now, it's not at all what it used to be. It's literally like a news aggregator and music website, which is cool. But like,
I think it's too little too late. They should have done that ahead of time.
Oh, trust me, I have a whole story about MySpace and kind of the downfall of MySpace and what happened there.
Okay.
Oh my God. But like, yeah, like the beautiful archetypes of MySpace no longer exist. And I tried to find old photos from my MySpace. And only about half of them exist. Although my top 8 still exists. Let's see who's on my top 8.
I think that I did go back and get the photos once, but now I have no idea where they are. And there is some pictures. Did I say episodes? I don't know. It's been a weird week for us.
It's been a week.
It's been a week, which blows my mind. I went back and tried to get some pictures from when I was younger, and I remember grabbing them, but now that I think of it, I don't know where they are, and I don't have them, so I'd like to get them again.
Yeah, I was able to grab some photos, but like a lot of them no longer, I guess for whatever reason, a lot of them are either corrupt or just don't exist anymore, but I still have my top 8. Do you want it? You're going to laugh at this. Do you want to know who's on my top 8?
Who's on your top 8?
Oh, this really goes to show you the last time we were actually using MySpace. My top 8 is my first girlfriend,
Oh boy.
our buddy Nick, not
Nick.
Galena, the other one. The better one, I'll say. Our buddy Eric, Matt, you on
Me.
here. You, my cousin, Christine, and Santiago. Oh boy, Santiago.
Okay, that's a choice.
Yeah, it was it's very much a testament to what things were like back then.
Mm-hmm.
The placement, that's a whole thing in itself, the top 8.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing that people will not understand. Like, high school days were ruined based on if you broke up with your high school person and how quickly they took you off their top 8, and then where they put you, if they put you there at all. If they put you number 2, it's like, okay, this is not actually over. 4, that's kind of a fuck you. Like, that's kind of worse than just taking you off entirely. And then if they took you off entirely, it was like, you're dead to me.
Oh yeah.
It was a whole thing.
Fucking MySpace. Who the hell is this? Like, I'm looking through all my friends, I'm like, there was a whole different type of culture back then. Like, this is not it's so different.
So while you're doing that, I'm trying to set up my Space Hey account.
I love my new, like, that MySpace, the allure of what MySpace was is gone. So I do recommend everybody get a Space Hey, embrace your old dorky self, and just make a Space Hey. It even gives you a link to, it gives you a place to put your links to current profiles. Like my Instagram is linked to my Space Hey now.
Okay, cool.
And
I just thought of something. I just came up with the best idea. My original name was Nene, but I'm gonna make it Space Nay.
Space Nay!
Space Nay!
Oh boy.
I don't know what I'm doing. It's not working. It's going
It's all
incredibly slow. That's okay. So, Tom, would you like to talk about the first time that you were on MySpace, or would you like to talk about the history of MySpace first?
Oh yeah, I can
How it
definitely talk
started?
about. I first discovered MySpace. It was the summer. I think it was the summer. I don't think I had one. I think right going into high school. Yes, going into high school, I was hanging out with a friend, and he just kept talking about this website called MySpace, and I was like, "What is this thing?" And he goes, "You got," because there was no word for social media.
No, that
Like,
wasn't a thing.
no,
And I think we actually kind of were against it for a while because it sounded ridiculous.
Yes. Like, he kept talking about this thing called MySpace. And I was like, what is this thing? And I remember that this time there were, like, websites with forums and you can join. And, like, there was a little bit of it, but nowhere near to the extent of just, like, this worldwide phenomenon of being able to join a website. And I know technically Friendster predates MySpace. And Friendster, if you look at it, looks like bare bones MySpace. But MySpace took off, and I think, if I'm correct, because Friendster didn't have the bandwidth or the processing power to handle too many users, and I think that's where MySpace sort of excelled. They saw what Friendster was doing and did, corrected all the problems. But I remember sitting down on my computer, and Danny, he brings me to his MySpace, and it's just like, you gotta make one. So I sit there, make a MySpace, and he shows me about how to put the code in to change your background. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then at the time, I was, big fan of the Viva La Bam. And I loved this hymn. And I was like, I want to make my MySpace song, Wings of a Butterfly. Because MySpace. And that's where it started. How did you discover MySpace?
So for me, like a lot of other things, we mentioned this in the previous episode, was like my first relationship was actually what started introducing me to back then, like what would have been social media. Because before then, I was very anti-internet. I was very much about just using a computer to like write my unfinished stories or play Windows 95 games, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So suddenly there was this person who was like, I want to get in touch with you more often than just calling your house phone. And then suddenly it became this social issue of like, you don't have a cell phone. And I never even really thought of it until that point. And they were like, okay, well, how are we going to talk to each other when like you're at home? Make an AIM username. And I said no. So in the 8th grade, I made an email and I would just message people through email, which is actually more obnoxious than just making an AIM. And then 9th grade, I think I finally made an AIM account, but that was also just my name.
Yeah.
I was ahead of the curve. I was just like, I'll just use my name. It's like a Gmail account.
Yeah.
And everyone else was like coming up with like insane names. And then I think in the 9th grade, me and this like first boyfriend were at the library and we decided to make my MySpace together. Like, ooh, such a fun thing that we're doing. And we're like, you know, hanging out at the library, which was a thing that you did back then.
Yeah.
That was my introduction to MySpace. But it's funny too, because sometimes when I think of MySpace, my first thought is actually when, a few years later, my dad was working as the assistant DA for the county, and he worked in the cybercrime unit that he basically started up, and he would ask me to make fake profiles for undercover cops.
Really?
Yeah, it was so much fun. And he'd be like, okay, so this one, we kind of set her up to be like the grungy one. Like, what kind of music would she listen to? And then I'd be like, oh, okay, so she's like a 3 Days Grace kind of girl who says like she's brokenhearted but is looking for like the right person to mend her broken heart. And then he's like, okay, now this one, she's kind of like popular. And I'm like, okay, gym class heroes.
Okay.
Anything from the Fueled by Ramen label. Abercrombie, Hollister. Like, I set up all these things for these 2 accounts, and they ended up actually being very helpful for catching people.
That's awesome.
So they were very convincing.
I'm glad. Now, I have, if you will, a brief history of MySpace, because it's an interesting story.
Let's do it.
So, I mentioned previously that technically, Friendster came first.
Mm-hmm.
But the birth of MySpace was really that a few people who were on Friendster worked for a company called eUniverse, who saw the potential in Friendster, but the biggest problem with Friendster is that it was developed in JavaScript and could not handle like the bandwidth of the amount of users or customizing pages or anything like that. So these 3 guys, let me see, it was Brad Greenspan, Chris DeWolf, and Tom Anderson, MySpace Tom.
The Tom.
Decided to take this concept and develop a website that would be able to handle large amounts of traffic and be a place like pretty much like what MySpace would become, like a social platform for people. And I think specifically, like, we don't really realize, we talk about it now, but at the time when we all used MySpace, we were not aware of just how much music was ingrained in the DNA of MySpace. Like the ability to have this peer-on-peer music sharing. And also, like, I didn't realize how many bands that are, like, mainstream, like, successes now came from MySpace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like, so
there were
many.
so many who actually, like, relied heavily on MySpace, and we touched on the intimacy of just having access to the music and having something visual for us to go to.
Yeah, it was insane, and that's kind of its beginning. And one of the key features of MySpace that we talk about is changing your background and using code to edit your website and your page. That was only meant as a placeholder. Like, they were going to actually build like an infrastructure kind of like how Facebook is, where it's all like one similar look.
Mm-hmm.
But the ability of people to customize their own backgrounds became so popular, they left that as a feature.
Yeah, suddenly it became like a puzzle for me. If I was like, okay, I really want to do this. How do I make that happen? And then you look it up, and if it didn't work, you'd be like, okay, well, then what do I do next? What if I want to do that? And then it becomes this like interesting way to develop code. And now they love for kids to learn how to code. And this was just sort of like an authentic way that people just suddenly got into it.
Yeah, this was
And it came with results. Yeah.
I would say this was like the genuine birth, at least for our generation, of like social media. And can you remember a time like it's so funny because I do remember like on the deathbed of MySpace, as we, you and I, we and our friends, we went to college, and MySpace became this cringy thing of the past that we all left behind. It was ew, it was gross, and I'm on Facebook now, and Facebook was for college students. Isn't it ironic that looking back, it's like, I really like MySpace. MySpace didn't try to overthrow the government.
Right? It's not run by a lizard person.
No, MySpace did not try to commit insurrection.
Tom was your first friend.
MySpace didn't share around leaks of celebrities.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny that, like, MySpace did have its controversies, but in the grand scheme of where social media has gotten, it's like, it's like, wow, MySpace really wasn't that bad.
Right. Yeah, it was so simple, and I really miss that, because when Facebook started, it was simpler, and then they tried to drag you in with a lot of apps that don't actually exist anymore. They're not options on Facebook, but you would try to like customize your page. A status was very different back then. It was like, you couldn't even say that much, and it would start off with your name. So you'd have to be like, Courtney is, like, you'd have to start off like that. You didn't have an option. Now people have these like bulletin essays of statuses, and it's mutated into this insane thing. And now I'm just surprised when anybody still uses Facebook.
Yeah, especially people around our age bracket.
Yeah, I think it's time for us to move on. And I feel like now at this point, when we were younger and we were like, okay, Facebook is like the dominant app for the generation above us, but, we are going to move on to something else. I think that's how Gen Z kids feel about us on Instagram now.
Yeah. And
Instagram is the older app, and now they're on TikTok.
Yeah. I want to share some bands that really took off specifically from MySpace.
Let's do it.
Do you know, I mean, some of these are obvious, but other ones I had no idea, like the Arctic Monkeys.
I love Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah, they got their start on MySpace.
Oh my gosh. Ugh. Do I Want to Know is one of my favorite songs.
Lily Allen.
Love Lily Allen.
Calvin Harris.
Calvin Harris, really?
Yeah, Calvin Harris, according to this article. He might as well be one of the biggest MySpace successes the UK has ever seen.
Okay, I X'd out of my Space Hey account, and then I immediately went back because it felt cathartic to look at this page layout.
Yeah, it feels really nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Owl City.
Oh, well. They've only really had like 2 songs anyways.
The butterfly one, right?
Fireflies? Just some sort of flies.
Yeah, something. Kate Nash.
I love Kate Nash. We got to do an episode on Kate Nash one of these days.
I'm down for that. And then Sandy Tom. I don't know who that. Sean Kingston.
What's he up to?
I have no idea.
We'll find out. This
one really took me by surprise, but Adele.
Yes. No, there's a whole thing because a lot of people only know about Adele. Now it's led me down the Adele road. A lot of people know about Adele from her second album, which was produced by Ryan Tedder, where it's Rolling in the Deep. That was the big hit, right? That was very
Yeah.
like stand aside music. Adele's gonna pop a new one on you. But she actually was in the same wave after like British retro pop after Amy Winehouse and Duffy. She was in like the same wave as Kate Nash. She was kind of in that third wave of the British retro pop, and Chasing Pavements. It was beautiful, and obviously she could sing more maturely than any 19-year-old could, but it wasn't that big of a deal at the time.
Yeah. Oh my god. And
That's
then,
my Adele rant.
That's fair. And then these I have a list, like those are the bigger acts, but these are like more appropriate to what we would think of as MySpace scene, like the alternative.
Right.
Like MySpace really was a place to develop this like alternative scene, emo, metal culture.
Mm-hmm.
Some bands would include Attack Attack, if you were a fan of the Crabcore. Black Dahlia Murder.
I remember them.
Black Veil Brides.
Mm-hmm.
This one I didn't know about, but one of my favorite bands, and I guess I know they started around this time, but I didn't realize they got their start from MySpace, was Ghost.
Oh, okay.
Apparently they did like, according to this article I'm reading from Loudwire, if your band happened to feature any sort of like a cult or like a cult imagery or bands like Blue Oyster Cult, Ghost did that, because I think all out bands did this. They would message people, be like, "I'll check out our band." And Ghost uploaded their whole first album on MySpace, and that's really where they got their start. I had no idea.
Well, like what I remember too, and this kind of links to our festival episode, is that, there were these merch brands, these like concert merch brands, and it's not necessarily that they sold merch for the bands that you liked. They were just brands started by regular people who would show up at the festivals, and a lot of the bands that you would like and look forward to seeing at the festivals, maybe in their top 8, they have that brand, and then you go to the festival, you go see that band, and then you go pick up some like cool concert merch from that brand that you saw.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the big one. I think All Time Low really stuck with one of the brands. Another big thing that you started selling or seeing around the concerts was Save the Titties. Or like Save the Boobies. Yeah, that was it. It was Save the Boobies. And those started in concerts, and those started as just like a brand on MySpace, and so did Hannah Kills and things like that.
Oh, it's crazy? Speaking of that, the shirt I'm wearing in my current Discord, Instagram, and Space Hey profile picture is of the skull, like, a very classic horror movie looking t-shirt with the words "Beware" underneath the skull. I was like, I remember that shirt. Where did I get that shirt? And I remember it was a clothing line started by Rob Zombie's wife called Total Skull. And where did I find this brand but MySpace?
Exactly. There were a lot of these brands, and I loved that. I loved that aspect of Aughts festival MySpace culture, was that, and that was kind of like the undeniable factor that you went to go do something cool.
Yeah, I wonder if Total Skull's still around. I'm very interested in this.
I know, I'm
I
looking
don't
for the
think so.
names of some of the brands, but I just can't seem to find any. But it's okay.
I remember that for a while they were pretty cool. They had some cool shit. It was like, because Rob Zombie is like, pretty much in the metal scene, but like some cross fans, different genres, but I don't know if this is it or is it, I don't know. whatever. I'll research it later. This is not the
Yeah,
Total
we'll have
Skull
to.
episode.
We can do another episode at some point where we just like cover like merch and stuff like that. We need to do a little more digging because that's what was so small about these vendors, but they were so interconnected to the concert festival MySpace scene. And then that's kind of how certain MySpace celebrities start becoming a thing.
Oh yeah, the MySpace celebrity. Yep.
Yep. Tom, I am on Space Hey right now. How can I add you as a friend?
Oh, you can look me up at Tommy MySpace. And you'll see the picture. You know the picture.
How do I do that? Do I search? Okay.
And
search users. Okay. Is it just Tommy MySpace, one word?
Yep, one word.
Oh my god, that's perfect. Okay. There we go. Yes. My profile picture as Space Nay is it is a picture of Sailor Moon using her disguise pen as a kindergarten teacher.
I love that. Let me see.
So it is perfect. Oh, yours is very moody. Okay, I'm gonna add you as a friend. I need to catch up with you.
There's no other way. You have to be moody. It's Space Hey.
Space Hey. Okay, I clicked on it. I don't know if it worked, but I have added you as a friend. Okay.
I'm refreshing my page, seeing if you popped up.
This is so much fun. Okay, send request. That's the only thing. I think the site takes a little bit too long.
I think it was a lot faster the other day. I think what it is that...
Is that everyone's joining Space Hey?
Everyone's joining, so they're like, they probably... I hope it works. Like, I hope this sticks. Like, I love this. I want this to stick. I hope, like, I will put money towards this. Like, the tricky thing is, like I said, because it's literally, like, a dedicated service to look like old MySpace, I'm wondering if they accept money that would be illegal. Like, technically, I think you could have it up if you're not, like... But I don't know. I would put money towards this to help fund servers. Like, I want this to stick. I don't want Facebook anymore. Fuck Facebook.
I know. When Social Network, when Social Network came out, and everyone was like, oh, Jesse Eisenberg plays such a mean Mark Zuckerberg. No, he was playing the real Mark Zuckerberg. He was just wearing it more externally than Mark Zuckerberg actually does.
Yeah, he's just Mark Zuckerberg. Oh my god.
Yeah, to the core. He was actually like letting us know, hey, you guys, be ready for 2016.
Yeah. So, did you also know, this one we both know, Hollywood Undead is very much a MySpace band.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Hollywood Undead.
Well,
that's where I think the scene, and you mentioned this, I think that's where like the scene movement is really taking off. It's more about these pictures and having an identity online than the emo scene. The emo scene is more about like listening to music and sharing music, whereas like scene was sort of creating this world for yourself and creating this image for yourself.
Yeah. And something interesting, like I was browsing through the history of MySpace, and like we were taught, like, you can't talk about MySpace without talking about music, and it's fascinating that now, in the day and age of where we are now with digital streaming music, like several points I want to hit on. One, like Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, iTunes, they all have algorithms. Very complicated, sophisticated algorithms that try very hard to get you to keep listening to their service as much as possible by breaking down the music you like, the types of music you like, and trying to say, this is your new daily playlist, check this band out. And it doesn't come nearly as close to the accessibility of just simple peer-to-peer music sharing that MySpace had. It's insane to me just how much more effective that peer-to-peer MySpace approach was than anything we're doing now.
Right, because you know what it was too? Sure, like you would find a song on MySpace and you could technically stream it. You could sit there on your computer and listen to it over and over again. But that at the end of the day, you get off that computer, you walk away from it, you don't have that song anymore.
That's right.
It. So in a way, the MySpace track was bait to get you to buy the CD, buy the album, buy the digital album, like whatever, and then you still get the, physical numbers on how successful this person is doing.
Exactly.
Just recently, I don't know if you've heard of this song. I love it. Hot take. Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License.
I have not heard of it.
Okay, it's really good. It's about a girl who just gets her driver's license and she's driving around and she's upset that she can't be the girl that her boyfriend dumped her for.
Oh.
And there's like some like Disney love triangle drama that's happening around it, which is also great for her numbers. But the thing is that this song is exploding in a way that nobody has prepared for anybody to do in this streaming venue. So here's this very extraordinary case where like somebody's finally succeeding in a streaming world when it comes to music, and that should tell you that something's wrong for the listener and for the musician, because how does this case that is so exponentially huge like seem as such a shock to everybody?
Yeah.
And
you know
what
it's
yeah, and like what numbers would
go
she actually be making back then? Sorry, that's it.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's interesting today that we're having this debate about music accessibility and the rights for the artist, because I know, like, I've made fun of them in the past before, but you have big names like Paul McCartney and Taylor Swift arguing and fighting about the rights of the musician, but trying to, in a way, to kind of limit and restrict their music accessibility on streaming platforms. Which I get the argument about, a concern for the musician, but then smaller musicians are trying so hard to get their stuff out there. I think like MySpace, I think you put it best. MySpace did this. Maybe it's just the inherent nature of the time, but MySpace seemed to have figured out the best combination of like easy music accessibility, but like encouragement of buying and promoting the artist. Because it does seem like that was like, because we know for a fact that if making your music accessible is proven to work. Like keeping it behind like restricted paywalls or, refusing, like doing the Tool thing for a while, like refusing to put it on streaming platforms doesn't work. But at the same time, the industry itself gives the artist so little money that the only person really winning at the end of the day is either
Spotify.
the streaming service or the music industry. The artist isn't really making anything from it. It's like, where is this happy medium that MySpace blossomed? Because a lot of these bands weren't part of labels. They were just bands that put their music online. And I know that we do that today. Technically, we have SoundCloud and you put your stuff on Spotify.
People come back to SoundCloud because SoundCloud has been around for at least 10 years. It's been here. And I think that with what's happening now, with what you're saying, with musicians only getting very little and mostly the record labels are making the money, the only way that the musicians truly make income now is through touring or deals. And they can't really do much of that anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, just as much as like as things progress, we like to go backwards and go back to the things that were useful. And I think that's why SoundCloud has come back. And I actually hope that Space Hey will bring a little bit of that too.
That would be great, because I think that's also the thing. Like nowadays we have Bandcamp, we have SoundCloud, you have YouTube, all these different places to put your music. But it's missing that social interaction that MySpace also provided. Like it was this perfect combination of socializing, music culture. Like it's just so hard. And I think people crave that. Like people want that. I remember talking to a friend. I was like, it'd be cool. A dating website that was music influenced. Like you could really get into like your scene, your style, your preferred like, musicians and make it more social, where it's not strictly a dating app, but like you could do things where it's like, you have like you bought a VIP package and you have some tickets available. You can link up with friends who like the same band, you know, because I thought that'd be pretty cool. And it's like,
Oh, okay.
oh yeah,
But
MySpace
then
sort of
that's
did
more of
that.
like a social media through music. Because I think if it's more dating focused, then you're going to run into the issue of like Tom Hansons of the world.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
MySpace did that. Like, every idea I had was like, oh yeah, MySpace did that.
And also, it was just an easy way for people to find out. Like you said with the Rob Zombie concert, it was just an easy way for people to find out when bands were touring.
Yeah.
Even Shiny Toy Guns, they took a long break. They had like a different lead singer for a while. It wasn't working out. And then they just make an announcement on their page quoting Inception and a time clock that's going down. So you're like, what the hell does this mean? Something new's gonna happen. And then you're invested and you keep going back to the thing.
Oh yeah. Also, I didn't realize this band, Panic at the Disco, was a MySpace
Yeah,
band.
baby!
The shame the poor groom's bride is a whore. I chime in with the haven't you people ever heard of closing a damn door? No.
Panic at the Disco is a true Aughts band, and it's just sort of like people don't know. People who listen to Panic at the Disco now don't know. The whole first album is just based off of Chuck Palahniuk books.
Okay.
I mean, I remember when Panic at the Disco started and like seeing them at Bamboozle, and back then like they weren't the big headliner yet, and they were an actual band. There was a full group of people. It wasn't just Brendan Urie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But
Oh
I
my
think
God.
that they were better days. I think that bands had a better chance back then. And, you know, with the case with Olivia Rodrigo, it's like, why should this be such an extraordinary case? And also, like, I'm sure that she would be getting many more singles or like many more hits and making much more money off of her success if this was 2007.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have another fun MySpace story.
Yes.
So, I remember, like I said, I followed Rob Zombie, and he was very active on social media with MySpace, and it was like that's when I learned about him being vegan and seeing his campaign ads and just like his like following up on his movie projects. Like he would post behind the scenes art, he would post like sketches that he drew. It was very interactive and it was very cool. And I remember when he got picked to do the Halloween remake in 2007. I followed that like to a T. I was on that page every fucking day. And I remember there was this actress, young actress of my like she wasn't like an actress before this, I don't think. I think maybe she did some work in like her teen years, but like she had really pushed herself on MySpace. And there was like this online campaign to like have her be the new Laurie Strode. And I remember friend requesting her. She accepted my friend request, thanked us for, giving her support and just following her career on MySpace. Like, I guess you could technically do that on Twitter, but it's still like the amount of saturation of news being thrown at your face. It's like you don't have nearly as much of this kind of intimate experience as you would, like I did on MySpace. Her name was Scott Taylor Compton. And I'm looking now and I'm like, oh my God, she's still my friend on MySpace, even though her account has nothing on it.
Well, that's another thing too. You could add bands as quote unquote friends on MySpace. Yeah. And even that act alone does develop a relationship. I mean, I had mentioned before that I had spoken to like the drummer of Stray Light Run, but we talked about this moment before when MySpace was kind of ending and Facebook was starting. Stray Light Run posted a bulletin post that said, "Is Facebook the new MySpace?" And at the time I was like, LOL, no. But it's one of those ominous things that are very telling of what's to come in the future, and you just don't take it seriously. And yet somehow I remember that pivotal moment for a reason.
Yes, and if you want, I have the story of the potential fall of MySpace.
Let's get into it.
All right. MySpace like blew up when it came out in what was it, 2003? Yeah. It blew up. It really kind of took over. It became like the most popular thing. I'll even insert like news articles or news segments like check out your MySpace, like, and it was seen as like as awesome as it was, as much as we loved it. There was still this like looking down on it because it was accessible to anyone. Anyone could have a MySpace, and like we said, if you were in the music scene, it was very good for that. But if you were like a college student who didn't care about music, who was, you kind of turned your nose to it, and that's where something like Facebook took off, because Facebook, as we know, developed by Mark Zuckerberg, really took this approach of being like college student only, Ivy League school at one point, right? Like
I was going to say, we should have just dropped it as soon as we heard that some like white, heartbroken Harvard kid came up with it. We should have just said no.
Yeah, fuck that.
We didn't
But,
know
like,
better back then.
I even remember like talking to my older cousin. I was talking about my MySpace, and she was like, "MySpace is for kids. I'm on Facebook. College
Right.
kids use Facebook." And I was just like, I couldn't give a shit. But I remember hating Facebook, and the early Facebook was a mess. Like it really
was a mess.
I remember like people talking about like, oh, it was clean, it was pristine, it was
I mean, I think it's a mess now too, but
Yeah,
because
it's a
there's
mess
too
now.
much. Yeah.
But I remember, like you mentioned it before, like literally you could install apps on your Facebook, but
Yeah.
there was no managing of it, so your Facebook page could just be super long and full of garbage.
Right, exactly. And that's what a few people did.
Yeah.
There was one where it was like superlatives, where you'd vote for people, and I was always upset that I was voted for most smart. You'd be like,
Most
no.
Or the Pokes. Do you remember that?
The Pokes. I remember the Pokes. They were the original "you up" text.
Yeah, like I don't even think you can I don't think that's even a function on Facebook anymore.
I remember even just a few years ago, I don't know anymore because I don't have it, but I remember just a few years ago, somebody that I went to Parallax with, which I think we should definitely do a Parallax episode.
Yes, please.
Okay. Somebody I knew from Parallax, which is this thing that we will talk about in another episode. We started the Poke War when, poking was a thing on Facebook. And at the time, I was a freshman. He was a senior. He was like, I don't do MySpace. I have Facebook. I know.
Immediately said fuck no.
And I know. I'm so glad that like nothing ever happened there. But so we would just continue to poke each other throughout the years, and we were like, we'll just keep this going for as long as this thing allows us to. And then he deleted me on Facebook. I don't
What?
remember when, but then he would continue to poke me. And then I was like, no, bitch, no. I'm not doing this anymore.
That's insane.
Yeah. And then I'm like, what has happened to society?
I know. Did you know, fun fact, there was a brief moment, and I'm sure it's covered in the movie. I've actually never seen the Social Network movie.
I have
so
seen
tell-
the movie. Yeah.
Is it in the movie where there was an offer for MySpace to buy Facebook?
I don't think they put that in there.
I'm reading on the Wikipedia.
There are
There was
two Army
talks.
Hammers, though, which now seems life-threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was talks to acquire Facebook, but they rejected, what's his name? Chris DeWolf of MySpace rejected the offer for $70 million to buy Facebook.
You know what? It might
And-
come up in the movie. I just don't remember it because there's like
Yeah.
a lot of talking
Yes.
between a bunch of white people.
Yeah, but I think one of the start of the fall of MySpace was that Facebook created this elitism. It created this sense of prestige, like, oh, I'm on Facebook, because it offered
You had to be
some of the same
invited.
things. Yeah, you had to be invited. It was a social network. Like, it still offered that social dopamine reward that MySpace did, but it did it in a way that you could feel smart. Like, I'm invited to Facebook. It's like, fuck
Right.
off.
It was very exclusive.
Yeah.
And therefore, like being, like you said, like being for college kids, anybody who was leaving high school made you feel like you had to dump your MySpace page.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where I think really a lot of the downfall begins. They are, in 2005, MySpace is purchased by News Corp, which you might know News Corp owns Fox News.
Oh.
And they beat out Viacom, which that might I'm not sure, but I feel like of those two companies, Viacom would be more useful in branching a social media platform, because you think Viacom, they have like MTV, Nickelodeon, they have like
VH1.
they have the market for what MySpace was. Like
Yeah, at least MTV could have done something with it.
yeah, but like News Corp buys it.
And then
The
they're like,
Rupert
"What are
Murdoch family.
children? We were never
Exactly.
them." So
Yeah, they literally did nothing with it. They let
Yeah.
it stagnate, and it made it difficult because, Tom and all these other guys running MySpace wanted to build it up and build more features, because they knew. They saw that times were changing. They needed MySpace could have survived if they kept up with the times, but I think they would have beaten Facebook if they updated, followed the trends, and really like kept that music thing. Because I think especially nowadays, like imagine MySpace nowadays if it like really continued up, and like it would be amazing. Like imagine watching live concerts from home on MySpace. Like I'm sure that could have been a thing, but being when they were purchased by News Corp, and News Corp literally just didn't know what to do with it. I mean, it's fucking Rupert Murdoch, old man Rupert Murdoch yelling at clouds. Like, what does he know about social media? Nothing. So MySpace becomes stagnant. It doesn't improve. It doesn't change. Like, there's minor changes, but anytime, like...
it's nothing.
Yeah, the guys who anytime they want to do a change or update to MySpace, News Corp's like, no, we don't want to spend money on this. We bought you for like $580 million. So in that downfall of like stagnant growth, Facebook just takes over.
Right.
Because Facebook has that ability to update itself, to
It was
change.
constantly changing. It was constantly morphing. Whereas it just made it easier to look at MySpace and say that's the unpolished, unrefined friends page. Just stop going there.
That's really where I think MySpace sort of falls apart.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame, because like I'm looking at all the things that MySpace was like had done. Like obviously music was a huge part of it. Like we even mentioned bands we didn't even mention, like Paramore, Katy Perry, 303. Like these are bands that like whether they were founded on MySpace or MySpace boosted their career. Also, Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy, I'm in it. Why me crack it? Why me roll? Why me crack that Soulja Boy? That Superman.
Like, there's a whole segment here called MySpace's relationship to black music, and it talks about how MySpace, and this is true for all around, but I can imagine especially for young hip hop artists, it was a very inexpensive way to distribute your music.
Yeah, I feel like they just didn't do enough. You have to budge, Yeah. And it's too bad, because I think what's happened with Facebook is completely gotten out of hand, and MySpace, because there was such little like access to posting. I mean, you could post, but it wasn't that big of a deal because there's so much room to rant and post things on Facebook. That's kind of what got it out of hand. And then there's the market, and MySpace, it was just simple. It was a place where your eye could rest, and I think that's partially because, if you wanted to see what somebody was up to, you would have to go to their page. That was it. Now you are on this person's page. Your eye rests here. Then you click on their pictures. Now with Facebook, you're just immersed with all of it all at once, and there's no room for your eye to rest.
Yeah. And I love shit talking Facebook.
Yeah, I'm fine with this.
Yeah, Facebook gets taken over by boomers. It has the appeal to adults and I mean, there is legitimacy, and I will give credit to this. I think it helped a lot of people reconnect in situations that they never thought they could before.
I think so.
Problem is, when you have leadership that literally does not give a shit, and you for years allow massive spread of misinformation and boomer culture to take over a website, like The funniest
and
thing about
profit
Facebook,
off of it.
yeah, the funniest thing about my Facebook is how many terribly pixelated memes are spread around, like, that one aunt or uncle's page that you don't like seeing.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do you see the same really goofy boomer humor spread everywhere? Like, that's most of Facebook is boomer humor.
Yeah, it's so funny. I
And
don't know how it got
conspiracy
taken
theories.
over by the boomer generation, but it did.
I was gonna say, like, no matter what anyone says, no matter, like, the kids were like, oh, it's about like, it's for college students. And no matter what anyone says, everybody enjoys that little dopamine rush of being social.
Right. And also,
That's
but
why,
that's
yeah,
what was nice about MySpace too, is that there weren't any parents on MySpace.
that's true.
It wasn't
That's
going to be
true.
taken over by the other generation. It was for teenagers. And it was a great way to meet people. I mean, we all know that one person who was like, oh, I met my boyfriend because I found his picture on MySpace and I thought he was really cute.
I would love to hear some stories from people who are still together who met on MySpace. But yeah, I would love to hear some stories from people about their romance on MySpace.
Yeah, also add us on Space Hey.
Yeah, everybody, get a Space Hey.
Get a Space Hey.
Please follow me on Space Hey. My name again is Tommy MySpace, all one word.
I distinctly remember getting upset by certain things on MySpace. Like, I remember when Joe was dating somebody else and he was posting pictures because his girlfriend at the time like planned a surprise birthday party for him, and he was like, I'm so glad that all of my closest friends could be there. And then I was just like, what about me? Why wasn't I invited? And now it's like so silly. But at the time you're like, oh my god, this person doesn't think of me the same way. Or there was the hero section, and lots of people would just put their friends in the hero section. And then if you're not in it, you're like, well, what about me? All these like sweet little like high school moments. But yet somehow, because social media back then wasn't what it is now, it felt still controllable in some way. Like, it still felt like our high school experiences were still rudimented in just seeing each other in person and having this like clunky social media site. We couldn't polish our faces, we couldn't add filters, and if they were just like, this is the photo in black and white, this is the photo as a cartoon.
Do you remember when we called things the MySpace angles?
Yes, you had the big
MySpace
clunky
angles.
camera, and
Yep.
you would like angle yourself like a banana
Yeah.
so you could get your face and torso and whatever Hot Topic shirt you were wearing. And you either looked serious and emo or you did the kissy face, which nobody does anymore.
No.
Probably for good reason. And there was a lot of like there's a lot of appropriating of gang signs.
Yeah.
When we were kids. Yeah. If you took a MySpace picture, you probably like flipped the peace sign over and like thought you were a gangster.
Mm-hmm.
That
That was certainly its own crowd.
Yes. Should we answer a MySpace survey?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So on MySpace, you could post a bulletin, which was sort of where you could share everything. But what was so nice about it was that it was in a little corner of your homepage. It wasn't your entire feed like Facebook is. And you would copy and paste what somebody else wrote in their survey, and you'd answer the questions and post the bulletin yourself. I did these all the time. I loved these. And this is where I threw most of my relationship shade at whoever I was mad at.
Fair.
So I found a huge one online. It was over like 160 questions. I have compiled them for us today so you can all hear what the best and worst questions were of those times. These were the ones that I like remember the most. So, and it's still pretty long. Okay. Tom,
Yes.
what was your last beverage?
Seltzer water, a specifically AHA Target brand blueberry pomegranate seltzer water.
Nice. I'm drinking tea.
I think I should have been more MySpace accurate and gotten a Monster this morning, but
Or a Jones Soda, or like I would have gotten a Marble Soda from H Mart.
Or a Surge. Would Surge also work?
A Surge or Nas, N-A-S.
Yeah.
Last phone call.
My dad.
My mom.
Yay.
What is the last song that you listened to?
Humming by Turnover.
Okay, I think mine was Let's Get Lost by Carly Rae Jepsen.
Okay, yours
But-
might be a little...
Mine might be a little more what? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, yours might be a little more MySpace appropriate.
I was going to say back then I would have listened to a song and then been like, oh, I just listened to Rough Landing Holly by Yellow Card. Last time you cried.
Yesterday.
Easy. Me too.
Yay!
Yay! Have you dated someone twice?
No. I have never actually, no.
Okay. My answer is yes. Yes, I have. Mostly because I've just stuck with the same 3 people. Have you ever been cheated on?
I feel like I wanted to say no, but I'm like, it's a possibility.
Same.
It's a possibility.
Same. That first one was a wily one. I have no idea.
It's also my first one too.
Oh,
I'm pretty confident.
word! High school relationships,
or
man.
honestly, if
Fair.
they did, that's, you know what? It's all good now. I don't care.
Yeah. Kiss someone and regretted it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, me?
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
No. I'm pretty. No.
I want to say yes because of trauma, but also, at the same time, no. Because, like, it's just life experiences, you know?
Yeah.
What are your 3 favorite colors?
Is black a color?
Yeah, definitely put black.
Black, purple, and orange.
Oh, nice. I would say red, lavender, and black.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or gold. I don't know. Okay. Met someone who changed you in the past month?
Yeah.
Cool. Yes. Yeah, I would say so too. Okay. I feel like the MySpace answer back then would have been, you have no idea. Or something like that. They would have been hinting at somebody that they just met, that they're like, whoa. Do you want to change your name?
Nah, I'm good.
Back then I would have been like, oh, yes, I hate the name Courtney.
Yeah. Oh, I want to change my name permanently to Tommy MySpace.
Yeah. So when you said Tommy MySpace, I thought you turned the MY of Tommy into just the beginning of MySpace.
Oh, no.
So I thought it was just Tommy Space.
Nope.
Relationship status.
Single.
In a relationship. What is your zodiac sign?
Pisces.
Leo.
Wait, is it the season of the Pisces? Hey, Google.
Oh, no.
When is the
no.
season of the Pisces?
No.
Here is some information from the web that might possibly help. The 19th of February. On the website stylus.co.uk, they say, each month brings with it a new astrological season, aligned to each of the zodiac signs.
Okay, we're still in
Right
Aquarius
now, we are on
then.
the cusp of Pisces
Right?
season, which begins on the 19th of February and
Okay.
runs until the 20th of March.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Do you have a
More
crush
you know.
on someone?
I have a crush on everybody.
This is another one of those questions at the time where it would have been like, oh my gosh.
This was bait. This was like, that's what this was doing.
Yeah,
MySpace
totally.
was baiting people. Like, if you wanted your crush to notice that you're saying this, but you didn't want to say it, that's what you did.
Yeah, or you wanted your ex to know that you liked somebody else and you were happy with someone else.
You would make them salty.
I loved this passive-aggressive bullshit. piercings and tattoos?
Not yet.
I have several tattoos and only
You know what's funny
2
is
piercings.
in high school, my answer would have also been not yet. But at least when you're like 18, you can explain not yet. I'm 30.
Right.
It's like, what am I
Also,
waiting for?
even not yet was such like an inciting answer because it like claimed like you're like, yeah, I'm not afraid of getting tattoos.
Yeah.
Which is better, lips or eyes?
Eyes.
I would say eyes too.
Yeah, you gotta see.
Right. Look with your special eyes. Hugs or kisses?
Hugs.
Yeah, me too. Shorter or taller?
Like, do I want to be shorter or taller?
It just says shorter or taller.
I want to be taller.
I
I want to be tall.
would put taller because, and then I would put like, it's not hard to be taller than me.
I just want to be taller.
That's fair. I know. Just like a few more inches, right?
Yeah, can you get me to at least 5'11"?
Right. And so like for me, if I was just 5'6", 5'5", I'd be so happy.
Oh yeah.
That's fine. Older or younger?
Like me or
It doesn't matter.
this is a very MySpace question, and it's a dangerous question because you know those fucking assholes who are definitely like, I'm looking for a younger babe, and it's like, no, get out of here, fuck you, we Me Too'd you, go away.
That's right.
I'm gonna say older.
I'm gonna say older too. We're
Safer
almost
answer.
30. Romantic or spontaneous?
I feel like that's the same thing.
Romantic or spontaneous, Tom?
Romantic.
I'm gonna say spontaneous because that's what I always said, but I feel like I'm getting a little more romantic.
Okay.
Sensitive or loud? I don't know why those two are associated.
I feel like they're the same thing. I'm gonna say sensitive. I'm gonna say, even though I'm being loud.
I know, me too. I'm gonna say sensitive. It just seems silly. It kind of like implies that like you can only be sensitive and demure or submissive, or you're loud and obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
Hookup or relationship?
Relationship.
Shy or outgoing?
I think I'm fairly outgoing.
I think I'm more shy, but then also like I talk a lot. I feel if it's quiet or I'm nervous of making an impression, I just keep talking. Okay, now we're moving on to have you evers.
Oh no.
Have you ever kissed a stranger?
Yes.
No, I have not. Have you ever gotten a speeding ticket?
Yes.
I have not. I also can't yet. So that would make sense. Okay, this one is like a classic. Have you ever broken someone's heart?
God damn it.
I
Stop
know.
it. Like, when you're in high school, you're kind of like, yeah, I break hearts all the time. But as an adult who's had trauma over the
Right.
guilt of feeling like I destroyed, like, yes,
Right.
I've broken hearts. I've been destroyed. I
Right.
get it. I'm a bad person.
That's how I feel about the, like, do you regret kissing any of your exes? And it's like, that's a very loaded question for me.
That's a loaded question.
So it's like broken someone's heart. Your ex would always, like, not your ex specifically, I just mean, like, in general, whoever is reading this on MySpace at 15, you'd read this, and if your ex, like, answered this question, it was always like, yeah, but I'm not proud of it. And the point is that, like, you're like, oh, I hurt somebody, but look, I'm capable of hurting somebody because I'm so attractive. Have you ever fallen for a friend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is when somebody who, like, as soon as they start dating somebody, they say that they are their best friend and they just move them up to 1 on the top 8, even if they were never there beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now answer truthfully.
Yes.
Have you ever had more than one girlfriend or boyfriend at a time?
No.
Also, very gender specific. Also, no. Been in love with someone you couldn't be with.
What kind of bullshit is
I know.
I'm gonna say no because I don't think that was love.
Fair. Fair. Been in love. I mean, yes, but I'm also like, I'm the kind of person who, when I want something, that's the thing that I want. And I do the exact same thing with relationships, which is why I've only really had 3 relationships, 2 that have actually, mattered. So, been in love with someone you couldn't be with? Yes, because I was set on this person. This one's also so bad. Was your last relationship a mistake?
My fucking God. No, it wasn't a mistake, but we made mistakes in it. And I say we, taking the guilt off of me and admitting that although I'm not perfect, it is not all my fault.
Right. Right.
I'm growing as a person.
I don't know if my last relationship was a mistake when it was like entirely based on a false personality and trauma. Who did you last say I love you to?
My mom?
That's totally fair. Joe, when he left this morning.
That's good.
Would you take any of your exes back?
No.
No. That was fun. Okay, and I want to get to a few of the other ones. There's so many.
Yay.
Let's see. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is a big one. Okay, now I found a good spot for us to go to. Is it cute when a boy or girl calls you baby?
No.
No, I always hated this in relationships.
I prefer babe, but I think even babe is scarred for me now. I don't think I can do pet names unless it's like.
Can I tell you, I think babe is actually more nauseating than baby.
Oh, then you must have gotten tired of me.
It was a little bit much.
Yeah.
But it's also not you. Like, I would be babysitting and I'd hear somebody be like, babe. And it's like, I know that babysitting isn't like a professional thing, but I still feel like you are a person who is paying me to watch your child. Can you not refer to your partner as babe right now? I don't know. It's weird.
Fair.
Do you love MTV?
Is MTV still a thing?
I don't know.
I think back, like if we were to answer this back in the day, I would say yes.
See, back in the day, I would have been like, screw MTV. I'm all about Fuse or VH1. Your best friend of the opposite sex likes you. What do you do?
What kind of question is this? I would ask them if they're okay. Courtney, are you okay?
I'm okay. Thank you for asking.
Then it's a long conversation about what's going on, where we set boundaries, and what's going on. Like that.
Fair.
That's where that goes.
Fair.
I know that's the boring, cold, and not fun answer.
That's the adult
but
Tom answer.
That's the adult Tom answer.
Yeah. I think now I would say the same thing. I'd be like, okay, hold on a second here. But as a teenager who was in love with one of my male best friends at the time, this would have been a perfect opportunity for me to be like, yeah, oh my gosh, and now we're in love with each other.
Myspace.
Have you ever been to a concert?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I can go to more, but pandemic.
Right. Did you ever wear someone else's clothes?
Yeah, I'm probably wearing someone else's clothes right now.
Right, exactly. Or like when there was a time where like you dressed up as our friend and you put on their clothes, but also because I'm so petite, it sort of became a fun challenge for people to put on my clothes and see what they looked like.
I've tried putting on your shoe before.
Yes. You did.
Did not work.
It's not easy, is it?
No.
No. Okay, and then let's ask the last question. Should we do one more? We'll do one more.
Do one more.
Let's see. What's a good one? Some of them honestly are like kind of traumatic. this one always came up, so I'm just going to end on this one. Have you ever
Okay.
kissed in the rain?
I guess.
Yes.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure when you're a kid that sounds super romantic, but as an adult who has, just been dumb and in college and like just experienced a lot of dumb shit, I'm like, yeah, probably.
Right. Yeah, exactly. This is so prime for Spider-Man 1
Oh,
with the
God.
rain kiss. And then the person who posted this survey, their answer actually triggered what would have been my response back then, which was like, yeah, it's not all cracked up as it seems to be.
Fair. Very fair.
And yeah, so those were the kinds of questions that would be on a MySpace survey. And that was fun. I actually enjoyed doing that with you.
That was awesome.
That was fun.
So that is our MySpace tale. I'm sure there's things we left out, but you know what? It was more about our experiences, and I was gonna talk about like Justin Timberlake owning a significant share at
Fuck
some
Justin
point.
Timberlake.
Yeah, and it's like, but you know what? It's not worth it. Like, what's the point? It's because then it's no longer the Aughts.
Also, it's like,
Yo, I'm
okay,
someone's top friend on on Space. Hey, sorry, I
What
didn't mean to
happened?
interrupt.
No, it's okay.
I'm someone's top friend.
a word? See, that's just such a
Yeah.
good feeling.
I don't even know who she is, but I'm
That's
her top
fine.
friend.
That's fine.
She has 1,000 friends.
I didn't even
Fucking
know 1,000
1,000
people
friends
were on
already.
this yet.
Yeah, we both like the Cramps and Sisters of Mercy.
That's
and,
cool.
And yeah, so I guess we're going. This means we're MySpace married.
I think I was being a little aggressive about Justin Timberlake, but the only reason is because I think it's time that, he gets his fair share of blast. We should put the
especially after
blast
that
on Justin
documentary.
Timberlake.
Yeah, especially after the documentary, he deserves it.
Yeah, he's gotten away with a lot for a long time. And
Mhm.
I was talking to Julia, and we
Hi,
both
Julia.
we both brought up a different story where we heard Justin Timberlake defending a different celebrity who has already been brought forward as an abuser in Hollywood. Like,
Oh,
she
wow.
heard one discussion where he was defending Woody Allen, and then I heard another interview where he was defending Marilyn Manson. So we're just like, you know what? He's not a good guy.
Yeah, but he won't protect Britney.
But he won't protect Britney.
She needs all the protecting.
Yeah. I'm gonna do something about that. Alright. So, I mean, this episode was just meant to be like another like fun, casual episode. And I feel like we got pretty emotionally invested pretty quickly. Tom,
Yes.
do you think MySpace would be as successful now as it was back then? And this is a weird case where we actually sort of have that opportunity.
It's weird. It's hard because I think people like us are craving it.
Mhm.
But if it were to launch as it did in 2003, it wouldn't. But if some semblance of something like that, like a music sharing social platform, like I know it's been trying to recreate, like I guess technically you can make an account on Bandcamp but it's still not like, it's almost, you know what it is? It's almost like these websites are hyper specific. Like Bandcamp is specifically for sharing your music as a independent creator.
Mhm.
SoundCloud is strictly a place to listen to music and post music. There isn't really that perfect melding of social media and music. I mean, even Letterboxd is technically trying to do that with movies. Like, let's be a social platform for your love of movies and and social media. But it's like no one has figured out how to perfectly blend the right amount of both.
Yeah, to be
And
honest, I think like a MySpace page would actually be where I would be sort of interested in sharing music that I write or covers that I make, because it's not as like visually jarring as like Facebook or Instagram when it comes to sharing music, but this is kind of nice.
So I think it could to a degree, and I think we should try and get Space Hay as big as possible.
I think we should, because the whole trend that is happening now is that, we all just want reboots of the things that we had when we were teenagers. Then let's actually commit to it and make Space Hay happen.
Fuck yes, we're pro Space Hay all the way. It's so fucking funny that literally MySpace is still a thing, but we're like, no, we're on Space Hay.
I know, exactly. That's exactly what makes it so millennial.
Unless MySpace adapts its old layout, I ain't interested.
Yeah. I think we should make Space Hay happen.
It literally has all the same icons.
It has everything.
Forward to a friend, add to favorites. I'm online, so the online blinker is on. Like, I love it so much.
Well, that's the thing. I forgot about these aesthetic elements until I signed in while we were talking and building my site. And I'm like, whoa, like this hits you in every single way. Like, this is exactly what it looked like. It feels good.
Also, I think what Space Hay did that I think helps a little bit is they made getting a layout a little easier.
Okay.
Like, they actually incorporated into the site where you can search layouts on their page. And I'm sure you can actually make a custom one, but it's not. If you want to get started real quick, just go on there, click on layouts. You'll find a layout fairly quickly.
This is so much fun. I love this. This makes me so happy. I don't know why. I didn't even expect to have that sort of reaction. Yeah, you'd have the about me, who I'd like to meet, Space Nay's interests, like general, music, movies, television, books, heroes, and then you could start figuring out the HTML code to change that. Tommy MySpace is my friend. This feels right.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I'm going to change my layout to this one.
Okay.
It's called
I gotta find a
Old School
layout.
Computer. It's called Old School Computer, and it looks like Fallout. So that's gonna be my. It looks, because I like the layout of mine now, but it's too many things, or you can't see a lot of the links, and it doesn't look good. So I'm gonna change it to this. I like this.
Yeah, it wasn't so visible. It was like everything was like very dark gray.
You know what'd be funny is I was thinking, like, can I access this mobilely? But I kind of don't want to. I like the idea that in order to do this, I have to sit down.
Yes.
I have my Discord open, and I have my Space Hay open.
Oh, it feels so
That's
good.
all the social media you need. I don't need no Facebook.
That's the thing. That's what I kind of miss about the old social media, and I miss the old cell phones, is that sometimes there's too much power in having everything to your access at all the time. Yeah, exactly. It's too much. So,
yeah.
Tom.
Yes.
What has been your obsession?
Space Hay.
Space Hay.
Space Hay. There's been too much going on for me to really focus on anything in particular, but when I discovered Space Hay, I just fell in love, and that was the beautiful distraction I needed.
Fair. My obsessions have probably been all of those things. It's been a lot of things, so I'm on the opposite end of the coin.
Fair.
Can I say go get the vaccine? Is that allowed?
Yes.
Okay.
No, please.
Okay.
Everyone, go get the vaccine.
My obsession is I got the vaccine. I am eligible for it. And you should go get it too. Everybody should go get it.
If you're eligible and it's safe, go get the vaccine.
Yeah.
It's
right. And we are only currently at 1% vaccinated. And, if you do want to get vaccinated, if you believe in the vaccine and you're waiting, that just means there's more time for other people to get sick. And you should just go get the vaccine. I'm very happy that I did it. Other than that, I'm obsessed with Tenet.
okay.
I didn't plan on it. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I was genuinely surprised how much I enjoyed that movie.
Oh, I'm glad. I know you were texting me about it, so I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I mean,
I did have.
Yes.
Bye, go ahead.
No. What were you going to say?
I'll say I did watch something, and I'm kind of obsessed with that.
Okay.
But it's only weekly, so I can't obsess about it. I have to wait to watch it.
Okay.
And that's WandaVision.
Oh, they're only doing that once a week?
Yeah, but
People
at first
do
I
like
didn't
it.
care.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like it, because I grew up watching a lot of those old sitcoms.
Right.
I was a big fan of Gilligan's Island. I genuinely loved I loved a lot of those shows. So like they don't half-ass it; they commit.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes it cool is that there's just subtle things are off, and the story starts to unravel with these like almost like glitches in reality. I
That's the
thought my
point,
TV
right?
was broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought my TV was broken, but it was WandaVision,
Okay.
and I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is, and especially with like Tenet, we have sort of built up Marvel and Christopher Nolan movies to be this thing. So now that we're at this point, we're kind of in the phase of fatigue. So I expected not to like this movie, and I thought it was just going to be like a joke of what he's been doing. But it was actually very pleasant to watch. Robert Pattinson was delightful.
Nice.
He's great in it. John David Washington is great in it. There are some times where he almost seems too chill about what's happening, but then sometimes he'd throw in a little bit of joke, a little bit of something here, and then I could see like his eyes brighten up, and I'm like, oh, there's the flavor that John David Washington definitely has, is going to continue to make him a star as he continues his acting career.
That's amazing.
I mean, even like Elizabeth Debicki's like trying her hardest with the female characters that Christopher Nolan writes. I think she finally has like a little bit more autonomy than some of the other female characters that he's written, but
Okay.
genuinely good movie. I think people should actually go watch it, despite all of our gripes with Christopher Nolan's approach to it. It's actually
You just see the movie.
it's a
yeah.
good movie, and I miss those. So
Like, I think that's what. I think as I was saying it after Endgame, I was like, I am good. I don't need any more Marvel for a while. I'm tired.
Right.
This was a good finale. I'm good for now. The pandemic has kind of just made everything awful for like the last year.
yes.
So there is this refreshing feeling and going back to familiar and going like, I could just escape into this story and it's nice.
Yeah. That's good. I'm glad that Catherine Hahn is in it.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Everyone's in it is great.
That's good.
It's just fun. It's fun. It's pretty. It's just what what we need. And I'm gonna watch Tenet soon.
You should watch. I genuinely enjoyed it. I mean, it made sense to me. It's like if somebody could bring something into the past, eventually it will become a problem.
Yeah.
Somebody will use it for bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. With that was our MySpace discussion. Please again join Space Hey. I mean, I hope they don't crash from a unreal amount of users, but
Right. I
join.
mean, our thousands of followers are just going to come rushing to Space Hey and then crash the entire site because, my goodness, what did we do?
Oh, we should make a Remember the Aughts Space Hey page.
Genius, Tom.
We
Genius.
should. And then they don't have the function for groups yet. Like the link is there, but they're still working on it.
Okay.
When we can make a group, we will make a group, or I'll make a group.
Do I have new
But
friends? Oh, it says
might-
Tommy MySpace. Yay.
Yay. So, but with that, guys, be sure to listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google. Sorry, I didn't give you time for the boom, boom, boom.
That's okay. I feel like I do it too much. I think we can give it a little break.
I love it though. Where else could Amazon?
Yes.
And maybe one day Space Hey.
I love Space Hey already.
You know what's funny is theoretically I could actually go to MySpace, make us an account, and upload all of our podcasts to MySpace, but I'm not going to.
Can it even contain that much audio footage?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
MySpace was weirdly enough made for that, but like, unless MySpace brings back its old profile look, I ain't doing it.
Fair.
But then please subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
and then follow us on the Instagram at Remember the 00S Podcast. That's
Yep,
right.
yep, yep.
And you can just literally type us into Google and we'll be on the first page, probably the first result, because we did really good SEO.
Yeah. Tom's good at that.
And with that, everybody, have a good day.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
Bye, guys. Get vaccinated.
Be good.
Black dress with the tights underneath. I got the breath of a last cigarette on my teeth. And she's an actress, but she ain't got no need. She's got money from her parents in a trust fund back east. Tongues always pressed to your cheeks, while my tongue is on the inside of some other girl's teeth. You tell your boyfriend, if he says he's got beef, that I'm a vegetarian and I ain't fucking scared of him.